the home run itself, though the home run was exactly what every Shohei Ohtani home run is, which is to say something that exists slightly outside the boundaries of what the human eye expects to see when a baseball is struck by a bat. Not the celebration, not the number 19 appearing on the scoreboard, not the crowd doing what crowds do when Ohtani connects with something and the ball decides it has somewhere important to be. All of that was expected. All of that was familiar in the way that extraordinary things become familiar when they happen with enough regularity. What nobody was prepared for was the umpires. Two of them. Moving toward the Dodgers' dugout with a purposefulness that didn't belong to the normal choreography of a baseball game. Moving toward the bat. Picking it up. Examining it with the kind of attention that stops conversations in a press box and makes broadcasters reach for words they haven't needed before. And then taking it. Walking off the field with Shohei Ohtani's bat after his 19th home run of the season while the stadium watched in a silence that wasn't quite silence because 18,000 confused conversations were all happening at once. MLB would release a statement. The statement would raise more questions than it answered. And the truth behind what happened to that bat and what it revealed about Ohtani's 19th home run would send the baseball world into a conversation it wasn't finished having days later. The home run itself deserves its proper place in the story. Because context matters. Because the 19th home run didn't arrive in a vacuum. It arrived in the 6th inning of a game that had been tightly contested from the first pitch. The opposing pitcher had been exceptional through 5 innings. Locating his fastball with the kind of precision that makes hitters look foolish and makes managers feel comfortable and makes broadcasters run out of complimentary adjectives. He had navigated around Ohtani twice already. Once with a strikeout on a breaking ball that dove out of the zone at the last possible moment. Once with a soft fly ball to center that Ohtani hit without his full conviction, the kind of contact that tells you the pitcher won that particular exchange. The pitcher was pitching as though he had a plan. As though he had studied the footage and found something. And for 5 innings, the evidence suggested he had. Then came the 6th. Ohtani stepped into the box with 2 outs and nobody on. The count worked to 2-2. The pitcher went to his fastball. Not because it was the wrong choice. Because it had been the right choice all night. Because when something works, you trust it until the moment it doesn't. And in the 6th inning, on a 2-2 count, it stopped working. Ohtani's swing was not violent. It was not the kind of swing that looks like an event in itself. It was compact. Efficient. The kind of swing that arrives and departs so quickly that you almost miss it. But you don't miss what the ball does afterward. The ball went to a place that made the outfielder stop moving before he started. Just stop. And watch. Because some balls you chase and some balls you simply witness. This was the second kind. 19. The celebration was brief. Ohtani rounds bases the way he does most things, without excess, without performance, with a kind of focused joy that acknowledges the moment without drowning in it. He touched home plate. Received his teammates. Accepted the congratulations with the particular composure of someone for whom 19 home runs is a milestone but not a destination. And then he handed the bat to the batboy. A routine exchange. The kind that happens hundreds of times a game without anyone paying attention. Except this time, 2 umpires were paying very close attention. They had been speaking to each other since the ball landed. Since before Ohtani had finished his trip around the bases. A quiet, urgent conversation conducted in the background of the celebration while the stadium noise covered whatever words were being exchanged. When the bat changed hands, one of the umpires moved immediately. He reached the batboy before the batboy had taken 3 steps. Said something. The batboy stopped. Handed over the bat. And then the second umpire joined the first, and together they stood near the dugout railing and examined Shohei Ohtani's bat with a thoroughness that the broadcast cameras captured from 3 different angles simultaneously. The stadium noticed before the announcers found the words. That particular shift in crowd energy from celebration to confusion as its own sound. It is distinct from excitement and distinct from disappointment. It is the sound of 18,000 people asking the same question at the same moment. What is happening? The broadcast team recovered quickly, as broadcast teams do, and began framing the situation in real time. The words pine tar were mentioned. The word illegal was carefully not mentioned, replaced by the softer phrases irregular examination and routine protocol check that satisfied nobody and clarified nothing. Ohtani watched from the dugout. His expression revealed almost nothing, which is not unusual for Ohtani. But those watching closely enough, those who have studied the particular vocabulary of his face through enough games to read its subtleties, noticed something. Not guilt. Not anxiety. Something closer to genuine confusion. The kind of expression that belongs to a person watching something happen that they don't fully understand yet. His interpreter leaned toward him. Said something brief. Ohtani nodded once. And then he waited, with the patience of someone who has learned that waiting is sometimes the only available action. MLB's statement arrived within hours. It was carefully worded in the way that official statements are carefully worded when the organization is managing a situation that has multiple possible narratives and wants to control which one takes hold. The bat, the statement confirmed, had been confiscated for examination following the home run. The examination was described as standard procedure triggered by observable characteristics noted by the umpiring crew. The statement did not specify what those observable characteristics were. It confirmed that no immediate violation had been found. It confirmed that further laboratory analysis would be conducted. And it confirmed, in language that was precise enough to be technically informative and vague enough to be publicly unsatisfying, that the results of that analysis would determine whether any action would follow. The baseball world read the statement twice. Then read it again. And then did what the baseball world does when an official statement creates more questions than it resolves. It started talking. Loudly. From every direction at once. The conversation divided almost immediately into two distinct schools of thought. The first, that the examination was genuinely routine. That umpires occasionally check equipment following notable events and that the timing, following a home run of significant distance and unusual trajectory, was procedurally logical rather than accusatory. The second, that something specific had prompted the umpire's attention. That two experienced officials don't move with that kind of deliberate urgency based purely on routine. That something about that bat, in that moment, following that particular swing, had created a question that needed answering before the game continued. Former players weighed in. Analysts weighed in. People who had never watched a full baseball game weighed in, because the internet has democratized sports commentary in ways both wonderful and exhausting. And through all of it, the actual answer remained inside a laboratory somewhere, pending analysis, unavailable to anyone with an opinion and a platform. What MLB eventually revealed reframed the entire conversation. The bat, upon examination, showed characteristics consistent with an unusually dense wood-grain pattern in the barrel. Not illegal. Not doctored. Not manipulated in any way that violated the rules of the sport. But unusual enough, rare enough, that the umpire's attention was understandable. The specific maple from which the bat had been crafted, sourced through Ohtani's equipment partnership and produced to his precise specifications, had produced a barrel density that laboratory instruments confirmed fell within legal parameters but approached the outer edge of what the sports equipment guidelines permit. Legal. Rare. Remarkable. The kind of thing that happens when the person using the equipment operates at a standard that pushes every element of their preparation to its furthest legal boundary. The statement closed with a confirmation that no violation had occurred. That the bat met all applicable standards. That Ohtani's 19th home run stood exactly as it had been hit. The statement was 4 paragraphs. It answered the question it had been asked. And it quietly, almost accidentally, revealed something about Ohtani that went beyond the equipment itself. He doesn't do anything halfway. That was the sentence a veteran analyst used on a broadcast the following evening, and it landed with the weight of something that had been true for a long time but needed this specific moment to be said clearly. The bat wasn't illegal. But it was as legal as a bat can possibly be while remaining legal. The specifications were as precise as specifications can be while remaining within the permitted range. The preparation that went into that piece of equipment, from the wood selection to the grain orientation to the barrel construction, reflected the same philosophy that governs everything Ohtani brings to a baseball field. Maximum preparation within every available boundary. Nothing left unexplored. Nothing left to chance. The umpires had noticed something real. MLB's laboratory had confirmed something real. And what was real turned out not to be a violation. It turned out to be a window into how Shohei Ohtani approaches every single element of his existence in this sport. Which is to say, completely. 19 home runs. A confiscated bat. A laboratory report. And at the end of all of it, the same truth that keeps revealing itself no matter which direction you approach him from. He is not doing what everyone else is doing and doing it better. He is doing something different entirely. And the gap between those two things is exactly as large as it looks.